So I imagine there are going to be two types of people that react to this video, and they're going to be those people that go, ha 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 ha, you're still rubbish as rival fans, to which I say, thanks for the interactions. And the rest of those people are probably going to go, don't get too carried away, it was just the first game of pre-season. But to those people, I say yes, but also no. Because we came back to start our pre-season 2 Fridays ago. So our pre-season in terms of training and getting people back up to full speed started 15 days ago. We are now 4 weeks out from the Arsenal game. So we've only got the same amount of time that we've already had, twice more. And on top of that, we're probably going to lose, I would say, upwards to a week in travelling. We've got to fly back from Stockholm to Manchester. We've got to fly from Manchester to America. We're touring America. And then we've got to travel back to Manchester. So we're going to lose several days to travel over the course of the next 4 weeks as well. So realistically, we're 2 weeks into pre-season. And we've only got 3 weeks of actual preparation time prior to the Arsenal game on the opening day of the season. And that is why I am very concerned by what I've just witnessed in our first pre-season game. It's why I'm titling this video, No Signs of Improvement. Because there weren't. There were no signs of improvement in that game. I sat here yesterday, speaking about the Mbermo deal, looking at our squad, going, this Manchester United team, as an entire squad, the players we've got available to our entire squad, this Manchester United team could beat every single team in the Premier League. But this Manchester United team could also lose to every single team in the Premier League. And what I saw today was the side that could lose to every single side in the Premier League. Because, again, there were no signs of improvement. It was slow. The progression in the ball play was not very quick. We were inviting Leeds onto us, but then not effectively hitting them in behind. We were going for the long ball too much. We were very susceptible still to Leeds transitions. We were half pressing instead of full pressing. Defenders were coming out and diving in and leaving space in behind. There was no sort of clear signs of unity across the entire team in terms of actually nailing down this formation. And this is where our major concern is going to come. Because a lot of sides are going to look at our system and go, well, the easiest way to deal with that is just put more bodies in midfield. And Leeds had that today. Leeds had 3 bodies in midfield. Manchester United had 2. On top of that, the likes of Nonto, Ramazani, or whoever, whichever half it was, were coming inside from the wide positions, dragging the right centre-back and dragging the left centre-back inwards with them. And when they did that, they would then spin it in behind to use the extra man in midfield to then push at our back line. And it left us very vulnerable to chances. Now, obviously, Leeds didn't score in this game, which was down to some decent defending and some decent goalkeeping from Tom Heaton. I think Tom Heaton had a very good second half, but India wasn't particularly tested too much in the first half. That was more down to decent defending from the likes of Shaw, De Ligt, and Mazraoui in the first half. But I still worry about our attacking outlay. Now, obviously, Matheus Cunha was making his debut for Manchester United today. I think he looked dangerous when he got the ball. And this is where I talk about my concerns. He wasn't getting the ball enough. Obi wasn't getting the ball enough. Bruno was barely getting the ball enough. In the second half, yet again, Højlund wasn't getting the ball enough. Mount wasn't getting the ball enough. Mantato, bless him, barely touched the ball at all. I think Jack Fletcher had more touches in his 10 minutes than Matondo had in his 40 minutes. Because, again, we're not progressing the ball quickly enough and effectively enough to get our players in the key areas in a position to create chances or score goals. And this is the real worry when we play against teams that are going to sit deep against us. This is what I'm saying. We struggled because we wanted Leeds to come onto us so we could then spring them in behind or try and play some quick passing routines. But because they didn't do that, we weren't able to progress the ball to our key players effectively. And then it was almost like we were caught out when they did do that. So there are some real problems that we're going to face again this season against the teams that sit back against us. Like, again, we performed well. I spoke about this yesterday. We performed really well against Man City, against Arsenal. We played really well at Anfield. We played well against Chelsea. Whenever we come up against the top sides that attack us, we do well because that benefits how we like to play, which is to sit in, invite pressure, and then hit with pace and long balls in behind. That suits us. When teams like Leeds sit off us and try and play possession against us, we really don't know what to do. We don't press effectively, but we also don't drop back effectively. We dive in and leave spaces, and then when we get it, we're a bit caught in two minds whether to go long and play it into their deep line or to try and play it through them, but then we only have two players in midfield. So this was the worry, is that if we continued with this shape and didn't get the players effectively working in this shape, we were again going to struggle. And I think Amarin's got an awful lot of work to do here. We have got a very talented squad. A very talented squad. And there were some players out there today that I think had some really good performances. Especially in the second half. I thought Dalot looked way better in the right wing-back position than he has for the majority of last season. I thought Dorgu was outstanding on the left-hand side. I think Mainoo and Ugarte showed real energy and effort in the midfield and actually controlled that midfield a lot better than Bruno and Casemiro did in the first half. And I think that's a partnership that we're seriously going to struggle to get working. I think it's going to have to be Bruno and Mainoo, or Ugarte and Mainoo, and Bruno maybe further forward. But the worry you get then is the worry I had yesterday, which is, where does this leave Amad? It was quite obvious 20 minutes into the first half today that Amad is not going to be able to play right wing back. So much so that Amarin changed it, put Collier to right wing back and moved Amad into the right forward position, moved Bruno into the midfield, but then that exposed that Bruno and Casemiro aren't going to work as a midfield two in the middle either. So if we're going to get this right over the next 4 weeks, we've got to start developing these partnerships between players. And they need to make these decisions. And this is my worry about Amad. And Mbeumo now comes into this setup. Where does Amad go? Because Mbeumo's going to play as one of those two with Cunha, surely. But then if Bruno can't play with Casemiro, Bruno's going to be in one of those two. So Amad's going to be in a real problem because he can't play right wing back. And he plays really well at right wing. But then where does that leave Mbeumo? Where does that leave Bruno? Where does that leave Cunha? It leaves Mount right at the back of the pecking order. And I think Mason Mount had a pretty poor second half, it has to be said. But this is what Amarin's got to work out. And he's not got long. I think partnerships need to start developing in key areas of the pitch. Like I say, I thought the back line looked good. Mazraoui, De Ligt, Shaw, first half, looked fine. Heaven, Maguire and Yoro, second half. And then even Fredrickson when Maguire went off. All looked fine. Goalkeepers looked okay. Like I say, I thought Dorgu looked good. I think Dalot looked good. Right-hand side and left-hand side first half wasn't working great because Amad couldn't play there and Collier looked out of position. Leon looks like he needs some time to settle at Manchester United. He was a little bit out of his depth in his opening game there. He got turned around a fair few times. But he's 18. He's a brand new signing. I'm not going to go on at Leon at this point in time. He's just going to be a new player that comes in. So, overall, as I say, it's a bit concerning. It's a 0-0 draw. I should stress, we did create chances. We hit the bar twice. Heaven probably should have scored after we hit the bar the second time. Obi had a decent shot from a tight angle. And he did also steal one from Cunha. And Cunha may have scored that chance if it had gone to him. But overall, we didn't really massively test either Leeds goalkeeper. Meslier made one good save after Dorgu could have had a penalty. He sort of picked himself up, spun and shot, going in near post, decent save. But other than that, Leeds weren't really tested. And again, Højlund hasn't had an attempt on goal in this football match. Yes, he only played 45 minutes, but we played better in the second half and still our striker didn't get a shot on goal. So some work, some serious work still needs to be done if we're going to be competitive. We can't just rely on teams to come at us. Otherwise, we're just going to get unstuck like we did all of last season. We couldn't beat teams like Leeds last season. We were losing to teams like Leeds last season. And this is what I'm saying. We play like we did today, we're going to find it difficult to win football matches. So, as always, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Obviously, the other big news, Rashford is gone. He's going to be out for another season. It's obviously an option to buy for Barcelona, but I'm not going to get hung up on options to buy. The key number that has to be regarded is 100% of Rashford's wages will be paid by Barcelona in this loan deal. So that is Marcus Rashford essentially off the books for the next 12 months. So that's good news. That's 350 grand a week we have back into the club that we can spend on either a new signing or sorting out new deals for other players. So I'm happy about that. 1 out of 5's out the door. And our second signing is now in with Mbeumo and obviously Rashford moving on. But today's performance on the pitch does not bode well for the brand new season. It was the first game of pre-season, but again, we've not got many left. We've only got 4 weeks till Arsenal. At least one of those weeks will be lost to travel. So we've got an awful, awful lot of work to do to get these players used to this system, get these players used to playing with each other and finding the right sort of patterns of play to break down these teams that aren't going to come onto us like the top teams will. Again, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching as always. I'll see you very soon.